you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, doing what you're supposed to do with perfect effort. So all those guys did those things, so I was very pleased with the day.
Morning, Coach. Can you see us?
Yeah, barely. You're small, but I
Just wanted to, it's been 8-9 months since you got this job, and it's been such a whirlwind. You lose spring ball, all these different things. For you, how much patience have you had to practice to finally get to this moment today and see these guys face to face and get to work?
There's no doubt. I'm a human too, so I had my moments there occasionally, and I explained to the kids. I mean, if I didn't get ice cream for about 6 months and I finally got it, I'd be really glad to get it. And that's how we were with walkthroughs. And then we did about 12 of those walkthroughs, and I'd eaten ice cream every day for 12 days. And I challenged the kids. I mean, have we already forgotten how grateful we are to be here? I don't want to be that way on day one. And they were fantastic today. You could tell they were eating a new, fresh bowl of ice cream today. So they went hard, and I was proud of them.
And a quick second question. I know you mentioned the other day that Dr. Campos working really hard on getting you guys a 12-game schedule. Is there anything you can do as a head coach working your Rolodex to try to find some people to play?
I've got buddies and all that, but we're just not the ones that make those decisions. We do help. We pass along numbers. We pass along information to Dr. Campos, and she takes those numbers, and if she doesn't already have them, she'll respond. But most of the time, those guys are already in contact with each other.
Great, thank you.
All right, Hector, you're up. Greg, you're on deck.
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Good morning, Hector.
Just given the circumstances and the guidelines that you guys have to follow and health and safety concerns, can you walk us through, I guess, in layman's terms, how different today was from a traditional, what your traditional kickoff of camp would look like? What was different today?
Well, if you could just visualize, at 6:30 in the morning, our offensive guys, because of 50% capacity, we were meeting in the building, and the defensive guys were getting temp checked and getting taped. So we never had any where we were violating social distancing practices. So it doubles up your time. So then you go to practice, and obviously we didn't have a team meeting. We did our team meeting on the field. So we've got 6 feet of social distancing on the football field. Water. I mean, everyone has their own water. No one, we don't ever go anywhere near anybody else's water. It's just it's an extremely different way to be about life. During our breaks, you're way apart. I'm not encouraging a break ever. We're forever. Everybody likes to bring it up and get tight and break on whatever you're going to break on. We're trying to practice social distancing to keep everybody away from each other. Right now, we can't have very many kids in the locker room at a time, so we've got a third of the kids in the whirlpool with their mask on. We have a third of the kids getting recovery with the strength staff with mask on, and we have a third of the kids in the locker room. So we're rotating in thirds to make sure we never have groups where we're violating social distancing procedures. Lunch, it's going to be the exact same way. Weights, everything's split up. So you can imagine, as prudent as we're trying to be on time, everything's just a little bit longer because we're having to go in thirds or halves at all times.
The natural follow-up to that, Coach, is how exhausting that must be with the task at hand already in front of you, and now you've got this added. I know you've been dealing with this for a couple of months, but to actually get into it in a practice setting, I imagine it's got to be extremely exhausting and something that just takes a lot in addition to what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, Dan Bellamy, Nick Turner, Kevin Brown, Ryan Filo, those guys have been fantastic. Our equipment people, Tyler, Bernard, those guys have carried a lot of that burden for me and have done a great job planning. And I'm sure we could be better. We're going to meet as a staff at 2 and review all of it. We've been very open with our players. Anything that they don't feel comfortable with at all, we want to know about it, and we want to do a better job. Because we want those guys to feel really good about being here. And so that's the way it's rolled. And I've got a lot of help. But you're right. It's just more stuff. But here's why it's fair. Every coach in the country is dealing with this, and whichever staff deals with the best, their players will have the greatest chance of being successful.
And one more, Coach, if I can. It's actually related to Chase's question from a little while ago. the uncertainty as to whether the 10 games and the 12 games, is there a date, Coach, that you guys have set as a program? If we don't have a new season opener, if you will, whatever the LSU game that weekend, if we don't have it by this date, then there will be no game on that particular weekend.
Dr. Compost does a good job of staying in touch with me. The one that would concern me the most if somehow a game popped up on August the 29th. That's what would really change things for us. But right now we're going as if we're playing a make-believe opponent on September 5th. Because in the end of the day, you're always playing yourself anyway. And we've got so much base install to do right now, Hector. I'm not that worried about, scheming for a certain team right now. We still got to just learn what we do. So after this week, Hector, for me as a coach, after that first scrimmage, which will be next Saturday, that's when I would need to know some closure to prepare my team. And I'm sure by then Dr. Compost will have a solid answer for us.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, Greg, you're up. JJ, you're on deck.
Jeff, how's it going?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Good, good. We're going to talk to Rashad Wisdom here in a minute. I wanted to ask you, what has he meant to your team and what role has he taken from a leadership perspective so far?
He's always been that way. He's just unique. One, he played a great program, so he's been taught the right stuff his entire life. So he knows how to lead. We talk about it all the time around here. To be a great leader, there's a couple of components that are very important. You've got to want to lead, first of all. A lot of guys just don't want to do it. They'd rather just be in the back and follow, and that's okay. But you got to be able to communicate very well. And Rashad does a very good job of communicating. So think about that. He's got a history of leading. He came from a great program. He's a great communicator, and he wants to do well. And, the circumstances he's been through with his family. He's got unbelievable parents. So, Richard and Diana have done a great job teaching him. I heard Sean speak now, so they communicate very well in that family. And Rashad brings that. And every day, he's the epitome of what our program's built upon. And that's just who Rashad Wisdom is.
How about between the lines? What role do you see him taking in this defense, whether it's like a hybrid linebacker, more of a true defensive back? Where does he fit in?
He can do either one. He could be a boundary safety or a nickel. We're going to play our best 11 kids, and we don't know who those best 11 are, but he gives us great flexibility because we know we could play with the nickel or the boundary, and that'll help us get our best 11 out there.
Okay, JJ, you're up. Steven, you're on deck.
Coach, I got to ask you about the quarterbacks. I know it's going to be the question kind of the next few weeks. Well, what did you see out of those guys today?
Well, we split team and we split up scale just so we could get 4 groups going. So we got high volume of reps today. And, just what I expected to see. We're in pajamas, so you still can't really tell a lot. They're getting a much greater grasp of the offense. Their throws are a lot more on time. Their progression and reads with their feet are timing out a lot better. So about what I expected. They put in a lot of work on their walks. But we're going to try to keep split field as long as we can keep the depth to do that. Because it sounds great for the quarterbacks, but that means you got to have 4 deep at corner, 4 deep at safety, 4 deep at slot, 4 deep at wide receiver, 4 deep at tight end. And that's a lot of kids. It requires to keep 4 teams rolling at the same time, but we pulled it off today.
You mentioned on Wednesday that the team would come together for 2 periods. Kind of, what was that session like? And I guess what have you seen from your defense?
They reflect Coach Nixon's personality. They're tough, they're physical, they run the football, and they play with an attitude. They look like Tyrone Nix looks. I mean, that's who he is, and that's who they are, and that's why I hired him.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Doing great, man. I'm still undefeated, so it's all good.
The kind of getting back on the schedule with the way, who knows how things are going to look in another month or so. But as of now, the home debut would be September 26th against Memphis. What are your thoughts on, maybe your first game being in front of an empty stadium?
I hadn't really thought about it, honestly. I haven't even gone there, and I don't. We can speculate on a lot of stuff. I don't give it much time, honestly. And I do tease my players all the time. They called me right now and wanted to play a pickup game in the front yard. As long as they let me be all-time quarterback, I'd show up and play. I wouldn't care who's out there. And if you really love to play football, obviously the fans make it more fun. But you guys all know we still all go play a pickup game of basketball, wiffle ball, tennis, golf. There's nobody out there watching us. When you love the game, you love the game. And our kids practicing their tails off today. There wasn't one person watching us. So we'll be fine.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, we got time for one more question, then we'll get Coach Nix in here. If anybody has a question, raise your hand. All right. We'll let Coach Traylor go.
Thank y'all very much. Appreciate y'all.